Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is The Mummy Returns. But once again, if you like watching my reviews, if you could please like, share and subscribe to my channel, that would be very much appreciated. So The Mummy Returns was released on May the 4th, 2001. Its director is Stephen Sommers. It was made on a budget of $98 million US and made $435 million US in the box office. The cast in this movie once again consists of Brendan Fraser, Arnold, Vosloo, Rachel Weisz, Dwayne Johnson, John Hannah, Patricia something, something along those lines. It's a name that I can't pronounce, and I'm going with that one, plus many others. So in this second installment in the Mummy franchise, we once again see the evil mummy Imhotep return to wreak havoc, and he resumes his relentless search for power and immortality. Only in this second installment we get to see him face a bigger evil to actually achieve this goals, and once again it's up to the O'Connells to basically stop Imhotep from achieving his goals. So this second installment in the Mummy franchise, what do I honestly think? Yes, I still enjoy this. I think I enjoy this just as much as I do the first movie, to be fair. And in fact, it might just have a little bit of an edge on the first movie, and I'm a massive fan of that first Mummy installment as well, because of the action adventure kind of feel. Only we get exactly the same in this one, but they kind of up the ante, so I got a feeling this is just going to have slightly the edge on the first movie. That being said, there is a couple of little problems in this movie which I'll get into in the movie review, but as a whole, as a general, I still find myself entertained, and here are the reasons why. So here we go, the movie review for The Mummy Returns. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I actually honestly think, knowing that I watched this movie about an hour ago, that this might actually have the edge on the first movie. Now I generally do love the first movie, I really do. It has a very strong action adventure feel. You get a very strong emotional attachment to all the characters. It's something fresh, something new, something different, or a vibrant or a fresh new take on the Mummy franchise. But in the second movie, where they don't have to focus on character development as such, they can get straight into the story. And the story is okay, a little bit predictable in certain places, I have to admit, but they don't have to focus on, we know that Imhotep is going to return at some point. We don't know, you kind of know how, but you know, they don't have to worry about that side of it. It's all about setting up the storyline for the whole of this movie, which they do from the start. I'm not going to go too into depth with the storyline just in case you haven't seen it. And obviously, The Rock or Dwayne Johnson is a big, massive part of this as a Scorpion King, but they give you his backstory straight away from the start of this movie, which is something they did in the first one, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic touch because they're laying the groundwork or the foundation of this movie very early on, so you can literally just focus on what you're watching. In the second installment, we get brand new characters in here. In other words, the O'Connells have a son called Alex. He's absolutely fantastic. He's an enjoyable. He's a joy to watch on his. He's got both his mother and father kind of traits, and he adds something new, his own kind of sarcastic kind of cockiness, braveness that comes with him. I think he's a great added touch into this movie, which really is a brilliant kind of booster for this second installment. And same as other characters in it. Brendan Fraser's character comes back as Rick O'Connell. Again, you don't have to worry about his character development in this. We've already got that as such from the first movie. There are some nice little added touches here with his character and Rachel Weisz's character. There's a little bit more to them, which makes it even more interesting for them. And it's exactly the same as John Hannah. He has not really changed from the first or the second movie, to be fair. He hasn't really learned a lot, but there is a definitely a more a mature kind of feel to the O'Connells in this second installment, where they've learned quite a lot. They've become very big, and they're very well respected for what they did when they fought the Mummy the first time. Especially Rachel Weisz's character in this. There are two very different sides here, because you had her in the first movie and then you had her in the second movie. Second movie, she was like this kind of clumsy, intelligent kind of woman that was working in this like library and knew her stuff about ancient Egypt. In the second one, yes, okay, she still knows everything about ancient Egypt, but she's also a lot tougher, a lot more kind of battle hardened as well, because of being married to Rick. I absolutely love it. And even then, with Arnold Vosloo returning as Imhotep, again, his character, you kind of know what's going to be happening. There isn't essentially anything new to his character apart from the fact that he has to go and fight this bigger evil to achieve his goals. The way he comes back and the way he regenerates is pretty much the same. That is where the most predictable part of the movie comes from, but essentially the added touch, he has to go and fight something bigger while trying to fight the O'Connells, or holding back or holding off the O'Connells. I'm trying not to give anything away of the storyline. I just think it's another added touch. Like I said, they up the ante. Visuals in this movie, this is probably where one of the dislikes of this movie comes from. I actually generally like the visuals. There is a very, very highly critical kind of scene to do with the Scorpion King towards the end with some very, very shoddy CGI, which I completely understand. It doesn't look good in any way, shape or form, or it doesn't look realistic. I'm sure there is a reason for that. And I know there's a reason for that because it's in the fun facts as well. But yeah, okay, so that is pretty much the one part of this movie which I particularly dislike, because the CGI was a little bit off, quite a lot off to be fair. It was pretty bad, but it wasn't enough to spoil the movie for me. Other comedic moments again in this movie as well were pretty much on point. I liked them. They weren't essentially out of place as such. There were some moments where I didn't laugh at all, and I was just like that. That was a little bit cheesy, a little bit corny, but there are certain other moments in here which I actually did find myself having a bit of a giggle. There is a bit more of a serious tone in this movie as well, which I generally did like as well. And you add all these elements together, I think that is the reason why I probably enjoy this movie just a little bit more than I do the first one, because they do not have to worry about character development in this movie. They can get straight into the storyline. The storyline is predictable, okay? I'm not going to lie, you can figure that storyline out very, very quickly on how this is going to pan out. There are little subplot lines going in here and little spurs off of the plot which just adds a little bit more of tension. But the introduction of the O'Connells having a son, Alex, he stood out for me in this movie because he really does kind of boost this movie quite a lot, because we've already seen the O'Connells on screen. It's a nice added touch. John Hannon's performance again adds a bit more comedic element into this movie, which just makes it an enjoyable watch for me. To be fair, visually I like it. The set locations on there looks actually brilliant. Most of the CGI in this movie, apart from the Scorpion King's appearance in this at the end of the movie, it's actually pretty good. For the money it was made on, it was actually pretty good. It's pretty convincing for me, and I very much enjoyed it. The movie to me was an easy watch. I'm never bored. Just makes it an enjoyable, entertaining watch for me. So if I was to give this a rating, I would give this an 8 out of 10. Now, the only reason I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 is because of the shoddy. Do you know, I'm going to upgrade it to a 9 out of 10. Actually, I'm not going to give it an 8 out of 10. The only reason why I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 is because of the Scorpion King kind of CGI graphics at the end. They were pretty shoddy. Considering that the rest of the CGI and special effects in this movie were actually pretty good, but that bit was just a little bit shoddy, and I do get that CGI can be expensive, but that's the only reason why I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. And it does slightly have the edge on the first one, because there is more going on in this movie, and the added characters in this movie just really enhance the second installment for me. So on that note, please stay tuned for 5 bonus facts to do with The Mummy Returns, which are coming up right about now. So here we go, 5 bonus facts to do with The Mummy Returns. Fact number 1, Rachel Weisz and Patricia Val... no idea how to say her name, I do apologise, trained for 5 months for their fight scene. There wasn't one stunt woman involved in that fight scene. They both did it themselves. 5 months worth of training for that one scene. Quite incredible, to be fair. Fact number 2. The sequel was green-lighted by Universal the morning after the first movie was actually released in May 1999. That is how confident Universal Pictures was about this movie, to be fair. And that is quite confident to greenlight a second movie a day after its opening. I gotta give them their due. That's some confidence there for you. Fact number 3. The much critically acclaimed effects of the Scorpion King were rushed, and apparently, from what I was reading, the visual effects were only completed 8 days before the film's release. 8 days. So I'm guessing there was probably a little bit of delay or problems in post-production, to be fair, which caused this problem, and that's probably also it is the reason why the special effects for the Scorpion King were rushed, apparently. It's an interesting little fact, and I always did wonder why a majority of the movie's visual and special effects were actually reasonably decent, and then they got to that one and it wasn't that good. And now you know, they were only completed 8 days before the release. So, fact number 4. Arnold Vosloo had his entire body shaved twice a day to keep that smooth, hairless look. He did try waxing, but apparently he couldn't stand the pain. Now, I can 100% agree with him here, to be fair, but I got waxed for charity, and it was the most painful experience I've ever had in my life. Especially when you give this responsibility to members of the public who are going to pay money to take my hair off my body. Some of them, I swear to God, are torturous. They really, really are. So, fact number 5. Hundreds of real scorpions and tarantulas were actually used in the movie, which that just alone, for me, is enough to make my skin crawl. Scorpions I've never really seen. Spiders I see every day in this house. We're full of them. Little creepy, little furry assassins just running around everywhere. It would creep the shit out of me. So there's 5 bonus facts to do with The Mummy Returns. There were, once again, loads and loads and loads, but I just chose those 5. So on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. Hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care and goodbye.